Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make the skirt that you've just seen at the beginning of the video. So for the yarn, I used Alize Baby Best, and then I also used Alize Cotton Gold. So I'll be leaving all the details in the description box below. I used very little of this yarn, and most of the yarn was this because it worked the body of the skirt. And each ball of this is 361 yards, that's 330 meters, and each ball is also 100 grams. I happen to use between 9 and 10 balls of this yarn for the full skirt, and that means the skirt is approximately 1000 grams, which is on the heavier side, but that's exactly the look that I was going for. So you can make this skirt to any length. If you want your skirt to be a mini, go ahead and do that, but mine is long. So this is the yarn that I'll be using, and I'll be leaving all the details of the yarn in the description box below, so make sure you check it out, and also make sure you check the description box for the written pattern. It's already available on all my online shops. So the hook that I'll be using is a 3.5mm crochet hook. And then we shall also need a pair of scissors and a measuring tape. And that's basically it. The measuring tape is going to take the measurement at the level where you want your skirt to sit. For me, that's the waistline. And you're going to start off with your plain color, as you can see in the image. The plain color works the upper part of the skirt, which is basically the waistband. And we have a loose fitting around the waist, which will be tamed by the drawstring that we shall make at the end of the project. So you're going to start off with a slip knot, and we're going to make a chain that runs around your waistline or where you want your skirt to sit without stretching. So for me, I am going to do a total of 120 chains, but I'm going to also make sure that this chain is not tightly chained. I'm not going to do a tight tension for my starting chain. So for me, I started off with 120 chains. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back when I have my 120 chains. Alright guys, I did my 120 chains, and I am considering a multiple of 6. I hope it works out in the end, but as you can see, we have 26 inches, which is the waistline circumference that I am considering without stretching. I'm not stretching my work. So if I stretch it, it goes all the way to 36 inches, which is quite big. So your waistline, a chain that measures your waistline without stretching. So you're going to make sure that your chain is not twisted. Make sure your chain is not twisted. And you're going to slip stitch into the very first chain to form a round. So insert your hook and pull through all. So this is going to create a circular loop. So from here, you're going to make a chain of 3. And at this point, you can switch to your 4mm crochet hook. You're going to make a chain of 3, and you're going to go into each and every chain with a double crochet. So 1 double crochet in each and every chain. Continue to double crochet all the way around until you make it to the end of the round. The switching of the hooks is optional. You can stick to your 3.5mm crochet hook, but I switched so that I can have that soft drape for my skirt, so that I don't have tightly crocheted stitches. So continue to double crochet once in each and every chain all the way around. All right, so we've come to the end of the round, and this is what we have. I am placing my last double crochet into the very last chain there, and I'm going to slip stitch on top of the first chain 3 because it counts as a double crochet. And just like that, we are done with round 1 actually, because we are working in rounds. Now for round 2, you're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet still. But this time round, we are going to go into the spaces between the double crochets of the previous round. So you're going to yarn over and go into this space, this one here, and place a double crochet into the space between the next 2 double crochets, and continue to do that. We're working in the same direction as the previous round, so we're just going in between the stitches with 1 double crochet. And you're going to do this all the way around. This is still the waistband of the skirt, and this is going to be the very last round of the waistband before we switch colors to our variegated yarn. The yarn that switches colors and creates that beautiful chevron effect that is multicolored. So just go into each space between the double crochets of the previous round and place a double crochet. All right, so we've made it all the way around for round 2, and I am going to place my very last double crochet in between the chain 3 of the previous round and the double crochet here. So yarn over and go into that space with a double crochet, and then this time around you're going to skip over the chain 3 and slip stitch into the very first double crochet. So the chain 3, I said it counted as a double crochet, but just ignore it, and double crochet into the next double crochet. So this is what your work will look like. Now at this point you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, because we're switching yarn from the plain color onto the variegated yarn, which is this one. Alright guys, now we're going to get our variegated yarn and we're going to attach it in the same stitch where we ended our previous color, the plain color. So where you placed your slip stitch, you're going to just attach your yarn like this and make a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet. You're going to skip 1 stitch and place a shell into the next. So a shell is 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same exact stitch. Skip the next stitch and into the next you're going to place 1 double crochet. Skip 1 stitch and a shell into the next stitch. So that's all that we're going to repeat for round 1 of the pleated design. For those who have tried out my pleated designs before, you know exactly what to do. You may not remember, so that's the reason for this tutorial. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, skip the next stitch, and into the next you're going to place 1 double crochet. So that's all that we're doing for this round. This is round 3. Skip the next stitch, a shell into the next double crochet. Skip 1 stitch, 1 double crochet into the next. So it's alternating between 1 double crochet and a shell. 1 double crochet, shell. 1 double crochet, that means it's time for us to create a shell, but after skipping 1 stitch. So you're going to go all the way around doing this, and I'll meet you back towards the end of the round. Okay guys, we've come to the end of round 3, and at this point I have a total of 3 stitches left, and I've repeated the pattern. So I'm going to skip over the next stitch and go into the next with a shell. So whatever number of stitches that you have for your previous round, you're going to make sure that you end this round 3 with a shell. Just try your best to end with a shell. So for me, my multiple worked out perfectly fine, and I have only 1 stitch left, which I will skip and slip stitch into the top of the first chain 3 of the round. So this is what we have. This is the foundation round for the pleated design. So let's go ahead, and you can see how the colors are starting to change. For this whole distance, it was the same color, but towards the end of the round, the color started to change, and I'm excited to see how everything plays out in the end. So we're going on to round 4, and you're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet. You're going to double crochet in each of the next 3 double crochets once. So at this point, we have a chain of 3 and our 3 double crochets. And in the chain 2, you're going to place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. You should notice that for this pattern, we work in the same direction as the previous round, and we only work on the right side of the work. So the side where you're working your rounds, that's the right side of your garment. So after your shell, you're going to go into each of the next 3 stitches with 1 double crochet, and into the standalone double crochet, which is this one, you're going to make a front post double crochet. So you yarn over, go under the stitch, push it to the front, and double crochet. That is a front post double crochet. This is going to create those ridges in between your piece, as you can see here. So after your front post double crochet, you're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and then into the chain 2 space, you're going to place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. So after this, you're going to go into each of the next 3 stitches with 1 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. And after this standalone double crochet, you're going to place a front post double crochet, just as I explained for the previous one. So you can see how the front posts are going to pop on the right side of your skirt. So you're going to repeat this all the way around. So 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. When you come to the chain 2 space, you place a shell, and then double crochet once in each of the next 3 stitches, and then a front post double crochet in the standalone double crochet. And that's going to be the repeat for round 4. Go all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. So guys, you can see another color is trying to pop through, and that is the pinkish shade. Before we had a sort of peach, and then the brown came in, and now the pink is coming through as well. So it's going to be a random placement of these colors that will eventually give a beautiful effect. And that's the beauty of variegated yarn. Alright, after working a short distance of round 4, you can see how the pleats are already forming. It creates some sort of ruffle-like look, and that's exactly what we want. I'm going to go ahead and finish up round 4, and I'll meet you back at the end of round 4, show you how to wind up, and then we go on to round 5. Guys, we've come to the end of round 4 and I have only one shell left. I'm going to just continue working my pattern by placing 1 double crochet in each of the 3 stitches of the last shell, and then in the chain 2 space I'm going to place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the chain 2 space. And then you're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to slip stitch on top of the first chain 3 of the round to end your round 4. So let's see what this looks like. A bigger picture. This is what your piece will look like. You can see the ruffles or the pleats of the skirt. Now we're going on to round 5. For round 5, you're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, those will be the stitches before the chain 2 space, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have our chain of 3 and 6 stitches before the chain 2 space. Into the chain 2 space, you're going to place a shell. So each chain 2 space gets a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same chain. Okay, so you're going to go into each of the next 6 stitches with 1 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and this will bring us to our front post double crochet. So you're going to place your front post double crochet into the front post double crochet from the previous round. After this, you're going to go into each of the next 6 stitches with 1 double crochet, and that's going to be the repeat of this round 5. 1 double crochet in each of the 6 stitches from the previous row before the chain 2 space. And when you get to the chain 2 space, you can see after the front post double crochet here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then into the chain 2 space, you're going to place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. So you're going to repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning of the round. This is going to take a while. The pleats have made the rounds really long, and it takes some time to just complete one round. So go all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Alright guys, we've come to the end of round 5, and this is what we have. Our pleats are becoming more and more pronounced, but this is the very last round of increase. As you can see here, we have this kind of ruffle-like look. Now when you come to the end of round 5, you'll end with a double crochet into the last stitch, as you can see here, and then you're going to slip stitch on top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round. Now we're going on to round 6, and this is going to be our repeat round. So pay close attention to this one because it's the round that you're going to repeat until you get the length of the skirt that you want. You're going to make a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then you're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and into each of the next 6 stitches you're going to double crochet once. So as you can see, we have our chain 3 here, and then our 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then into the chain 2 space, you're going to go in there with a shell. So in each chain 2 space, you place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same exact chain 2 space. So that counts as a shell into the chain 2 space. And then you're going to double crochet once in each of the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then skip over the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and a front post double crochet into the next. So you yarn over, skip over the next 3 stitches, and front post double crochet into the next front post double crochet from the previous round. So that's what we are going to repeat for this round. So after your front post, you're going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then into the chain 2 space, you place a shell, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same space. Okay, then 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. Make sure you don't skip this stitch. It usually goes behind the 3 double crochets and it may be a little bit invisible, so you may end up skipping it. So make sure you pay close attention after placing the shell and you go into the very first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and a front post double crochet into the front post double crochet from the previous round. So you can see what we have, and you can see those lines starting to run all the way down. So repeat this all the way around, and I'll meet you back towards the end of round 6. Alright guys, I've come to the end of round 6, and you can see how the stitches have drastically increased and how the ruffle looks like. Of course, as we keep working the length of our skirt, this ruffle will start to come down a little bit because round 6 was a non-increase round, and we've come to the end, and I'm going to skip over the last 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and I'm going to slip stitch on top of the first chain 3 of the round. That's how you wind up round 6, and that's the round that you're going to keep repeating until you get the length of the skirt that you want. For me, I'm going to do a long skirt, so I'm going to keep working until I have the length of the skirt that I want. I believe about 45 rounds of the pleated design, but you can do it to any length. And then I'll also try out the shorter version, and I show you what everything looks like when it comes to the shorter one, just in case there's some people on the platform who would like to make the shorter version, but make it to any length of your choice by repeating round 6, which is the non-increase round, and then I'll meet you back when everything is ready. Alright guys, this is what the skirt looks like, 20 rows into the pleated design. And for me, I'm going to make it even longer than this, but if you want the short version, that's what it looks like. Very beautiful and pretty for those people who love the shorter version. But for me, I'm going to push it downwards so that I get a longer version of this skirt. So do what you have to do in order to get your desired length. Alright guys, this is the bigger piece, and once you get the length of the skirt that you want, as you can see here, I have about 45 rows, and yeah, this is the length that I have right now. So this is the bigger demonstration. You're going to make 2 chains. So I used the yarn that I used for the waistband, and I doubled the strand and just made a plain chain of about 150 chains. And you're going to make 2 of these. This time around, we're not going to go around the whole skirt. So make sure that your seam line is at the back, and then you're going to get 2 stitch markers. Mine are here, and you're going to mark the sides of the skirt, just like this. And on the opposite end, place a stitch marker. Now, the reason why we have made 2 chains is because one of the chains will gather the front side, and then one of the chains will gather the back side. And then we have knots on the side of the skirt. So we shall gather this, something like this, and then we have these knots that are tied and then flow towards the side of the skirt. So you're going to get your darning needle and thread your chain that you just did, those tails of the chain. So the braided part may not go through the darning needle, but at least the tails do. So you're going to start from one end, and you're going to go in and out of every 2 stitches of the top round of the waistband, just like that. So continue to go in and out of every 2 stitches all the way across. Okay. In and out of every 2 stitches. Alright, so we're coming to the end, and I'll just do this. Remove my darning needle, and one side of the skirt is done. And then you're going to turn your work to the opposite side and do the same exact thing. Repeat the same exact process. So thread your darning needle, and then weave it in and out of every 2 stitches on this side as well. Okay, so we've come to the end of the second chain, and make sure that that strands on the ends are kind of balanced, that you have almost the same length. Now when you do this, you'll be able to gather your skirt. Now at this point you can remove your stitch markers, we no longer need them, and then you're going to go ahead and gather your skirt according to the opening or the waistline circumference that you have. So you can see now we don't have to worry about the big circumference that we had in the first place. So once you gather that, you're going to just make a knot and a ribbon like shape on the side of the skirt, and then it will flow down just as you can see here, and we're going to do that on the opposite side as well. So this is going to be adjustable. You can go ahead and attach some tassels towards the end of the drawstrings so that when you pull it so much, it doesn't actually come through the skirt and you have to weave it in all over again. So this is what we have for the side of the skirt, and that's basically it. I hope I was able to solve your questions for the people who wanted to make the pleated skirt. And I know this project doesn't work up fast, but I hope the results are really satisfying for you to look at. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.